I call this board meeting to order at 7:03. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Whoa. Let the record show that all board members are present, and I'd like to welcome all our guests that are inside and possibly outside too. I think I saw more people outside. I need a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Fernando and seconded by Mrs. Merkley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. A report of action taken in closed session. Now I got to find the right one to read here. I am pleased to announce that the Board of Education in closed session has appointed Ms. Yumi Kang to be the new principal at Sutherland Elementary School. Her employment will begin July 1st, 2021, and she will be placed on Step 5 of the Certificated Management Salary Schedule. The roll call vote was unanimous with all board members present. And that takes care of the action in closed session. Student board members report. Nadia and Chloe.
Good evening, Dr. De Leon and esteemed members of the school board. Tonight, I will be giving a student board report for Glendora Elementary and middle schools. Whitcomb Elementary has been working on an in-person graduation for their fifth graders that will be on June 7th in the field area to have as many families attend as safely as possible. Their students and staff are working very diligently to make things work in their third week back on campus. And on a fun note, a former Whitcomb graduate, Chase Beckham, is in the top 9 for American Idol and will be performing once again this Sunday. Sellers Elementary is hosting a Spirit Week this week, and today was Crazy Sock Day, Tuesday is Tie-Dye Day, Wednesday is Pajama Day, Thursday is Hawaiian Shirt Day, and Fridays is Sellers Blue Spirit Day. And PTA sponsored a drive-through book fair that will be happening tomorrow from 4 to 7 p.m. LaFetra teachers are working hard to finish up progress reports and get them sent out to students to help students get the resources they need to succeed. They had a staff celebration day on Wednesday, April 21st to thank their staff for all of their hard work they put in to support students. Goddard students and staff are so excited to be back on campus. New sixth graders were invited for a campus tour before their first day back. Sports are still going, and Goddard students have the opportunity to participate in frisbee, golf, tennis, and yoga. They hosted their annual talent show where they had 20 outstanding acts and a lot of success.
Good evening, Superintendent De Leon and esteemed members of the school board. I will be giving the Glendora High School board report. It is with great pride and enthusiasm that we begin planning for the 63rd commencement ceremony. Seniors will graduate from Glendora High School on Wednesday, June 9th, 2021. Given the recent news of Citrus College's facilities being available us to graduate, we are evaluating the new health orders for graduation ceremonies and matching them to capacity limits, seating arrangements, and other important factors you must consider for the event. Graduation ticket information will be provided to families in the coming weeks. Given that we have a limit to the number of guests per graduate at the ceremony, we plan to hire a professional videographer that will live stream the event for family and friends to view from the comfort of their home. We are excited to announce that Prom 2021 will be taking place on May 22nd outdoors on the GHS campus. Students will need to wear a mask, and due to social distancing protocols, the event may look a little bit different this year. More details will be sent out through the ASB in coming events. This year, we are partnering with Universal Studios, who will independently run grad night for many local schools. Universal Studios is offering a multi-night options for seniors to sign up to attend grad night with their friends. Since this is not an event facilitated by a Glendora High School, students will register through Universal Studios and provide their own transportation. Stay tuned for more information on how to sign up. Glendora High is super excited to be partnering with Spaghetti Eddies in a fundraiser to raise money for our seniors. The money raised will go directly towards senior events for the end of the school year. Families were able to pre-order 3 build-your-own pizza kits for $30, and $5 will go back to GHS. Now that we are back on campus, many will have the opportunity to meet our new school resource officer, Officer Morrison, who was newly assigned to GHS this year. He is a graduate from Glendora High School and often shows his support of our students at various events. So please say hello when on campus. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a lot of good news. Some sense of normalcy. Thank you very much.
Trustee Borg?
Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Borg, if we could do my superintendent's report before recognition, I would appreciate that. I'm sorry, I should have done that during agenda.
That's fine.
setting.
Why don't, Dr. De Leon, why don't you give your report, please?
Wonderful, thank you. Let me pull it up here so I can actually see. I can't see up on the screen at all. Actually, I can do it off of here. All right. Good evening, everyone, President, board, members of the board, and our community, and our wonderful staff. Tonight, I wanted to talk a bit about our safety, and in particular, our COVID testing program in our district. And I call this presentation, Keeping Our Schools Opened and Our Teams Playing. So just right on the offset, I want to let the community know that one of the ways that we prevent the spread of COVID, particularly now that we are back in our classrooms and some of our classrooms being relatively full, obviously not as full as they were before the pandemic, but relatively full. One of the ways that we have continued to keep our schools safe with no spread is by our testing protocols. So I wanted to review that with everyone, and I want to thank Mr. Weinstein, who has really helped us with our testing and working directly with the Little Star Clinic, and Dr. Ravi, who is the person and whose team comes down and tests literally hundreds of athletes for us every week, and anybody else who would like a test. So that's going to be part of the presentation. So as you know, we reopened our schools to in-person instruction on April 12th, and we did so following the state and county guidelines and CDC guidelines with 6-foot social distancing with a minimum of 3. So we try for 6, and we have a minimum of 3 in our classrooms. This has enabled us to bring back our students every single day to school, which is important for them. It is very, very clear that our students need to be in classrooms with us. And then additionally, what is important, another piece that's important about that is the fact that our schools are where we have our vast networks of student supports. It's where they have the people who support them every day, whether that be counselors, teachers, our wonderful classified employees, our custodians, our campus supervisors, our counselors, our admin, and then of course their peers. It's really important for mental health. So we did bring our students back. But now that we've done that, kids are in enclosed spaces, and we want to make sure that there is no spread whatsoever of COVID in our schools, and we have not had any so far. And I believe it is because of our amazing COVID testing program. And yes, we're going to knock on wood, everyone, but I think it is because we have provided testing. Our district has provided COVID testing since well before we opened our schools. I think we opened in February, testing here at the district, and also PCR testing that we have provided on Fridays for a while for anybody who needed it or wanted it. So we are continuing with that. But we have been testing our athletes this whole time, our high contact athletes, both indoor and outdoor. We made that decision because it is the outdoor high contact athletes are strongly recommended by the Department of Public Health, but also because they are in the process of tightening those restrictions because there has been a great deal of spread amongst youth athletes and athletic programs in Southern California. And we don't want that spread spread at Glendora High School, where we have multiple teams that are competing. You can imagine that now that we're back in the classroom, if we did have a spread on a team and they were in class, now we have to quarantine the whole class and could essentially have a spread at Glendora High School that would shut our school down. And I can tell you right now, having worked all fall to try to open our schools, the last thing we want is to have to shut a school down. So in our view, testing is one way that we protect our schools from an outbreak which would close us down or close down a program. For those of you who don't know, the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health has been inspecting Glendora High School. It has inspected them 3 times, come out and done personal inspections 3 times in just the last 10 days. And every time they give a recommendation, well, you need more ventilation, more fans in the locker room, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. Most of it has been small things that we have been able to comply with really just immediately. But they are wanting to make sure that since we are open, that we are following all the protocols, and we are. And they're telling us that we're doing a good job. So, but once they find out that schools are open, they go to those schools and inspect as they're supposed to. Also, we have added COVID testing on a rotating basis at all of our sites. So it's not just at the district office and GHS. We are beginning to have it be at 2 sites per week, where you can actually go to your elementary school or middle school or whoever's scheduled for that week. And if you would like to get a COVID test, you may do so. And again, that is a way for us to try to stop COVID in its tracks, because if we can figure out a person and then determine what contacts they have, we can stop it and quarantine those few people before it becomes a much bigger spread. So that has been incredibly important. And again, thanks to Dr. Ravi and the Little Star Clinic. They have done literally hundreds and hundreds of tests for us. I mean, every week, hundreds. Okay, so here's the way the protocols, how do our protocols work? Monday through Thursday, you can do a self-administered PCR test at the business office to all employees who want them. Monday through Saturday, PCR testing is offered at the Little Star Pediatric Clinic in Rancho Cucamonga. You can go there any day of the week. Like for example, a student athlete who isn't able to go to their team testing time because of whatever commitment, they can just go over to the Little Star and get it there. Wednesdays on a rotating basis, as I mentioned, antigen rapid testing is offered to employees and parents at our sites, or any students who would like to be tested, or with their parents' permission. And student athletes are tested up to 2 times a week with the antigen rapid test to comply with the Department of Public Health mandates and recommendations for high contact sports. And then the last slide just talks about what kinds of tests are used. So the antigen rapid test is, it detects the presence of a viral antigen. It's a nasal swab used in the nostril area, and the test results are within 10 minutes. The PCR test is the gold standard test, and this one looks for genetic material, and it's the one where sometimes we call it the brain scraper, but it really is deep into the nasal cavity with the swab, and that test takes 24 to 74 hours. The way we've been doing it is that if we get a borderline or faint positive or positive on the antigen, then we do an immediate follow-up with the PCR test and send that out, and we get the results within 24 hours to confirm whether that really was a positive or not, or if it's confirmed as a negative. So that is how we have been doing our testing. We believe it has really helped us keep our schools and our programs open. We plan on continuing to do testing. We only have a few weeks of sports left now, but we will continue to do testing throughout to try to keep COVID minimized and out of our schools. Are there any questions from the board? Board members, no questions. Okay, thank you very, very much.
Thank you. That was very thorough and concise. Do you want to go ahead and go back to the recognition section?
Let's go ahead and move forward with the next item.
Okay, staff
And then-
presentations and information. I'm going
Yes.
to turn it over to you,
Yes.
Dr. De Leon, for Williams Education Center.
Absolutely. At this time, I am very, very pleased to hand it over to Dr. Kelson, who will introduce the staff who will do the Williams Education Center presentation. We're really excited about all the things that happen at Williams every day. Amazing programs.
Thank you, Dr. De Leon. I would like to invite Mrs. Michelle Gallo and Mr. Ron Letourneau to the podium to present information on 2 outstanding early childhood education and parent education programs.
May I take this? Okay. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Hello.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So I'm Michelle Gallo. I'm the director of the Child Development Program here at
Oh my God.
Glendora. I'm here tonight to, because I'm short, I know, short people syndrome. I'm here tonight to talk to you about our Tiny Tartan program and our extended daycare program that we have at Williams. I'm also going to talk a little bit about our daycare programs prior to the pandemic happening and what we do at our other sites. All of our programs, we provide high-quality childcare. Our main goal is to provide care for families when parents have to go to work. So children that get out at 12:30 versus children that get out at 3, we're open till 6 p.m. During the non-pandemic, non-COVID year, we do morning care, so they're in daycare from 7 to 8. Then they go to school, and then daycare from the time they get out till 6 p.m. Our preschool is also open every day from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I want to give a little history of what's happened in the last year and a few months. So in March, when everybody closed down, we closed down as well. And it was really unfortunate. We had little ones in preschool that were loving what they were doing every day. So what we did is we resumed by doing Zoom meetings. So we met with families either once or twice a week with every single classroom. The children loved it. The teachers were amazing. And I'm going to share again how amazing my staff have been, how flexible they've been, how creative they've been. So again, everything was closed in March. In June, we were able to open daycare at Williams for our first responders and essential employees. Now, you all know that guidelines change constantly, and I can't tell you how many times they've changed for us. And our guidelines are stricter than the K-12 system. So from June and July, we were able to reopen. I was in contact with the LA County Department of Public Health to see if we could open up daycare, and we had to show that it was for first responders and essential employees. At that time, the cohorts were for 10. So we opened up in our cafeteria and we had 20 children, which was great. However, in July, the county said, sorry, only licensed daycare facilities could be open. So we had to shut down again in July. At that point, I contacted Community Care Licensing, which is the state that runs licensed daycare facilities, and applied for an application, which we didn't get till September, but I'll go into a little bit more detail in a minute. But we were able to get an emergency waiver. So what we did is we licensed 8 classrooms at Williams so that we could provide school-age childcare. In August, we opened up the preschool. So with the preschool and the daycare, unfortunately, we have to maintain 6-foot distance. So we had to submit pictures and show them what the classrooms would look like, how the children would be independently in their own little, what we call pods. So they have their own individual materials, from school supplies to toys, manipulatives. Again, in August, the preschool opened. September, I think it was the 3rd week of September, we opened up the school age program. In October, we actually licensed a new toddler program, which was amazing because we had so many families asking if we can do toddler program. So toddlers are from 18 months to 36 months. Again, we're following all of the guidelines from not just LA County Department of Public Health, but also the state of California. So children 24 months, 2 years, have to wear a mask. If they're under 24 months, they're not wearing a mask. Next slide. So I wanted to show you some amazing pictures. Again, our program would not be successful if it weren't for the wonderful staff that we have. And like I said, they've been so flexible, they've been so patient, they've provided emotional support for families, for children. You can see by some of the pictures the way we do their individual materials. Some teachers are using like buckets or plastic tubs or Ziploc bags. You can't sanitize between uses. They all have to have their own individual materials. The teachers have been so amazing in teaching the children a new way of learning, a new way of playing, and you would think 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds wouldn't get it, but they do. So the teachers are creative in the way that they engage engage the children so they stay in their little designated areas. They could still do circle time. They could still do music and movement. Teachers stand at the end and just kind of like wave their hands and show the children what to do. Next slide. This slide shows, again, some circle time, some of our school-age programs, too. So when we opened up from September till about February, when schools reopened, we were providing full-day childcare. So we had all the children that were doing their distant learning. And again, the staff have been so great. They have constant communication with all their elementary teachers or the middle school teachers to know what the children need to do on Canvas, help them stay on task. We use Dojo or Remind to stay in contact with parents to see if there's anything that we're missing or that we need to make sure that the children finish when they're doing their work. Next slide. So I wanted to give you a little idea of what we looked like before the pandemic and how this has really impacted our program. As you can see, our numbers were a lot higher. We were able to service more families in the district. We didn't have all those guidelines, even though the K-12 guidelines have changed. And now, as Dr. DeLeon mentioned, you can be 3 feet. Daycare and preschool are still 6 feet. So we're hoping that that will change. There's another telebriefing this Thursday, and we're always asking as providers, can we go 3 feet like the schools are going? But if the state says 6 feet, then the county's going to say that we have to follow the state, even though these aren't licensed programs back at the elementary sites. And to rewind a little bit too, when the whole switch came, when the schools reopened, they didn't allow children to go to daycare and go back to the return to school. So there was maybe a 3-week gap that we were really struggling because parents wanted to bring their children back to school. They didn't want to stay in distant learning, but they needed the daycare. So I think it was about a 3-week period. Then the county finally said, okay, they can go to both. So now we have them in both. So just so you could see, our numbers have really declined because we're only able to fit maybe 14. And first they said 10, then they said 12, then they said 14. Now the county says, well, there's really no limit on the number. However, it has to be 6 feet. So some of our classrooms can hold 16, some can hold 11. It just depends on the size of the classroom. So those are our numbers right now. We do have a waiting list. We opened up registration for summer, so we will be holding summer daycare at Williams, and then we'll see, fingers crossed, that things change so that in the fall maybe we can go back to higher numbers. Next slide. I wanted to show too what our preschool classrooms look like. We did open, like I said, a new classroom, so we have higher numbers now. We have a waiting list. I'm actually turning families away, which feels good, but at the same time, feels really bad because we can't service all the children that we want to. So we're counting to see how many children are going to stay for the summer so that we can start enrolling some more children. Next slide. Like everybody, we're following all of the daily routines of screening and cleaning and disinfecting. So again, I just want to say thank you to my staff because we would not have this successful program if it weren't for all the teachers, for Karen Perez in the office, Marlene Gomez, who's the site supervisor. I wish I could have named everybody, but the cleaning and the disinfecting, you can imagine little ones walking around touching everything, that everything has to be wiped and sanitized. We can't mix cohorts, so one classroom at a time goes out on the playground, and then the teachers have to spray every piece of equipment that they've touched outside, and the tables and the restrooms. For us, for daycare and preschool, we have to clean the bathrooms between every single child. So again, why they're different for preschool and daycare versus K-12, we're really hoping that will change. Next slide. More pictures. This is what we had to submit when we applied for our application because we had to prove, like you said, the county comes out. In the beginning and in June and July, they weren't coming out to sites at all. So they would have me FaceTime and walk them through the classroom, take pictures, email them pictures, show them what I was doing. For some reason, signs would disappear in the bathroom, so the day that they come, they want to make sure that they see everything. If they don't, send us a picture, send us an email, so let us know what it looks like. Next slide. Again, more pictures of our wonderful children playing, and like I said, you could see that these teachers are still being very creative with their activities, and the children are having fun. The parents are really happy, and we wish we could serve more children, but we can't at this time. Next slide. That's it, I think. Any questions?
Awesome.
Mrs. Murphy?
But thank you. It looks like an amazing program. I love it. Thank you.
Dr. Fernando?
No question, except this slide here with the thank you, I think sums up how all of us are feeling sometimes with these guidelines. So
you got to work together, wear those masks, clean, sanitize, and I'm telling you, my staff have just, I feel so bad when I email, here are the new guidelines, now you have to do it this way. No, wait, go back and do it this way. It's a lot of changes, but they've been really working hard together.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Ellenson?
No questions, but wanted to thank you for everything that you've done for the daycare and preschool program. I don't think people appreciate the extent to which you have different and additional regulating bodies that you have to comply with. And I know everything at the K-12 education level is changing constantly. It's changing as constantly for you, but with different agencies that you have to comply with. So it's really outstanding what you've put together in such a short period of time, and how essential the services that you're leading are to our community, our employees, and our external community cannot be understated. And you have jumped every time to make that happen in unbelievably short periods of time. So thank you for doing that. We couldn't do what we're doing without the services that you're leading. Thank you.
Mrs. Reuter?
I'm just really glad to see you here in person, to thank you to your face, and to have you have the opportunity to acknowledge your staff and all the hardworking individuals that have been making this. I don't think everybody realized that throughout the summer, when everybody else was still completely closed down, you were just chugging away over there. And so thank you. Thank you to your staff. Keep up the great work. We really appreciate it.
Again, I can't thank them enough, because even when they're out, I'm like, okay, wait, are you sick? Can you just be out like one day? Are you coming back? And we can't put subs. And it's, for the summer, I had 2 employees in there, and we pretty much had to beg them, please commit to 4 weeks and take your vacation after. So we had 2 people working 4-week periods with no breaks, and Karen and I were there the entire summer. And these parents, the look on the parents' faces, they would just come in and say, thank you. I mean, you don't know how important this is. And we had doctors and firefighters and police officers
Essential workers
that needed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate your being able to share this information with us, because like I said, certainly the community at large didn't have quite understanding of what was going on, but even us here on the board, it really is wonderful to and not surprising at all to hear the level of commitment from you all to the school district and to our kids here. So
we
again,
just need those guidelines to all mix, and I think I've shared, we have 3 that we follow. There's one for full day licensed daycares, which is at Williams, one for daycares, which is at elementary sites, and one for preschools. So and all 3 of them are different.
well, I'm glad your head is still in one piece.
Yes, thank you. Me too.
Thank you, Michelle, so much, to you and your team for all your hard work. I have to say, this community, I hope they recognize that had it not been for your incredible extensive program that was open this entire time, many essential workers would not have been able to go to hospitals, nurses, doctors, like you said, firefighters, and work around the clock with COVID patients, et cetera, had it not been for your daycare program and the fact that we stayed open. And so I do thank you so much, and your staff for your incredible dedication. Thank you.
Michelle, I also want to thank you and your staff as well, and I do have a couple questions for you. Are you planning to, if I missed it, I apologize, to pre-enroll for daycare, not knowing what's going to happen yet next year? I know the line was long outside of Williams, about now, isn't it, when they start registering for next year?
I thought we were going to send out for summer today, so maybe it's going to go out tomorrow. So we'll look at that, but that's for summer. I'm hoping things are going to change. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to enroll for what we can get right now, which would be at some sites 14, some 28, and then establish wait lists to see if they let those numbers go, if we can go down to 3. But even if it's 3 feet, it's not going to be the numbers that we used to have. Because we were able to say, well, some of the kids are outside, some are on this playground, some are in the cafeteria. When I submit the report to the county, I have to say, okay, in this room I have 14 children, and in this room I'd have to know what classrooms are available, what space is available, and if it's going to go from 6 feet to 3 feet. So I think right now, if we do it, it would be the 14 or the 28 for the, depending on the sites, and then establish wait lists to see if they change, and I'm hoping it does.
Yes, and you mentioned when you get inspected, they're looking for signs, and I think that's kind of ironic since these children can't read.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she had even said, just use emojis with masks. I'm like, okay. Okay. So we have some cartoon ones. We have, even pictures of the kids themselves. We'll just put there with the mask, wear your mask. But I'm telling you, these kids, I keep moving my mask and I feel bad, but I can't talk. They're amazing. Our 2-year-olds, our 3-year-olds, and all we do is just remind them, don't forget, put your mask, cover your nose, and you just say it in a nice, friendly way, and the teachers are doing it, so they're modeling the behavior, and the hand washing is very consistent, and they get it.
Kids are very capable.
They are. And it's good, but it's also sad to see how they've adapted to the play environment. Like, usually preschool is where we teach them to share and take turns. Now these kids know that this is mine, that's yours, I won't touch yours, you don't touch mine, but they're still able to play together. They build houses just next door to each other, and then if we see them, because like I said, we have tape, so if they see them too close to the tape, the teachers just remind them, remember, scoot over, get in the middle of your pod, your area.
Yeah. And one more, I had a comment from a member of the public about the fencing that went up around the site. And maybe this is for Mr. Weinstein too, but is that because of the licensing?
Yes. So the classrooms are like in aisles, right? So when the analyst came and some of the kids would go outside, there were benches. So some of the kids have, maybe counseling, or even if they had music, or, some class when they were doing their distant learning, that they needed privacy. And so the analyst is like, well, who's supervising? And we're like, well, the teacher's right there. She's like, and what if the child gets upset and takes off and runs onto Lorraine? So they wanted a defense around it.
Thank you.
And honestly, the preschool families, and I think Sprouts too, they've always mentioned that sometimes our little ones, when they take off, when the parents come, they take off running. So at least the gate stops them from running out into the parking lot.
Yes, yes. Thank you. I appreciate that answer. And again, thanks for everything. We really, it takes a village, and you're a big part of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And there's Mr. Letourneau.
Good evening, board members and Dr. DeLeon and everybody else that's here with us tonight. One of the programs two of the programs that I get to oversee at Williams are the Parent Education and Sprouts. So I'll talk a little bit about Sprouts. And this group, as you obviously know, is like 100% different than my other group over at Whitcomb. Just as fun, only a different type of fun. Okay, so when I leave my Whitcomb crew, then I get to go over and deal with the preschool. And over there at Williams, I use 2 classrooms. And the classrooms are for the pre-K kids ages 3 through 5 who are found to have special education eligibility. We have one class, Lisa Fiorenza, and she deals with a class that's a little bit higher level than Laura Garcia's class, okay? And in Lisa's class, it's a remedial class. They're a little bit under gen ed, okay? So that's their goal, is to get the tools they need, get the experience, get the education they need so that they can move towards gen ed. So this group is a group that works on academics. They're building upon the skills they already have in place. They can sit individually and for longer periods of time. Their attention span can be limited, but it's moving and it's progressing. And that's what our goal is there. They can sit and they can color for a specific amount of time, but at the same time, we're in the entertainment business for some of these little guys, okay? And we got to keep them moving. And once we keep them moving and we get them what they need, they're fantastic. The other class, Laura, is a little bit more intensive than Lisa's class. And here we have a little bit more remediation. They're working on items like hand over hand when they're eating. Okay, so in one class, you've got the kids, like I was watching them today, they're digging in, they're going. The other class, they may have to dig in, and the teacher may have to help them get food from their container into their mouth. So they're working on hand-to-hand stuff. Okay, this class requires a little bit more prompting than the other class, whereas maybe the one class we can say, hey, one time, hey, let's do this. Okay, maybe twice, let's do this. Maybe the other class is going to be, hey, we got to do this, let's do this, let's do this, and then they'll function. And they do a fantastic job. They're a little bit less independent at times than the other class, okay? Just at times. Again, more prompting. We have to bring them back on task a little bit more. And these 2 teachers, it's kind of like amazing to watch them work. They've been together since 2004 together. And so the continuity that is present there in that class is amazing. Their aides are amazing. And every time I walk into that class, they got one of those little gates that I still haven't figured out how to open up the gate. I'm thankful that I'm 6'5", so that I can step over the gate, because everybody just kind of laughs at me, including the kids. They call me Mr. Ron. Here comes Mr. Ron. And it's just a blast. And I always go back to an old sports analogy. It says, the main ingredient of stardom is the rest of the team. And Lisa and Laura can get a lot of accolades for what they do, and they deserve it. But those aides are absolutely phenomenal. What they accomplish in the class with those students, day in and day out, they're running around. If you go there and watch this class at times, they're running around chasing kids, literally chasing them. And, it's like what Michelle said, you have to separate this and separate that. Well, we have to do some separation too. It is a task, and it's a task beyond task when I talk about masks for these little guys. Okay? When they get there, they want to rip those masks off. And they don't want to put them back on. And it's a constant battle. I'm constantly telling you, double up on the masks, guys. You guys double up, at least. But, like my Whitcomb parents, the parents are phenomenal. I mean, absolutely, truly phenomenal. They're grateful. They're thankful for the job that's done. I'm thankful and grateful for the job they do. I know sometimes when I'm over at my other place and you're having a rough day, best thing to do, get in your car and head over to Williams and go walk around the room for 15 minutes. You'll love it. You will absolutely love it. And I would encourage you, if you ever get a chance, go over there and see some of the magic that those folks perform. The students that we do get here is the classes that are referred when a child has a suspected development delay or a diagnosis. We provide the services, or San Gabriel Valley, the regional center provides services to children who qualify from birth to 3 years of age. But then afterwards, the students transition to the Glendora Unified School District. They transition to this program. So at 2.5 years old, if a student has been referred from the time of 2.5 until 3, they will go for a full assessment over at Williams. They have to be assessed by 3 years old, okay, to determine if they're eligible for the program. And when we say assessment, we're talking the academics, we're talking OT, we're talking PT, we're talking, hearing, everything. They get the full gamut, okay? And then it's determined if they're eligible. Then by age 3, then they're ready for the pre-K school. Prior to transitioning, that's it on that one. So on that last slide, you just see that the Sprouts preschool classrooms are just one of the special ed services that Glendora has to offer our population there. Okay, right now we're about 8 in the intensive needs class and about 5 in the other class. Okay, and it can vary, and it ranges. Some of the kids, like we have one little gal who's just about ready to go into gen ed over there with Michelle's group. Then we got another kid who's in the intensive needs who's just about ready to pop up to Lisa's class. So there's fluidity and there's motion that takes place. So that's it. That's what goes on with my little Sprouts group. My other group that I get to deal with is the parent education group. Okay, a lot of you may know that as Mommy and Me. Now, for me personally, I do not care for the title of Mommy and Me because it makes it sound like Mommy and Me are going there to play. Whereas really it's a parent education class. Okay, it's an opportunity and don't get me wrong when I say parent education, we're not educating parents on how to be parents. It's an opportunity for the parents to work with their child on different levels, different skills. Everything is hands-on. It's at an early age because the age for the folks that are in that class are 0 to 5 years old. Okay, and if you have one child that's in there, if you have siblings, those siblings can come to the class too, so it's not like just one person and one child. The whole family is welcome to come there. They participate in discussion forums that they have. So for instance would be half the group might go next door to a classroom with Shannon, and the other group of the parents are watching the other kids too. So they're dealing with not only their own kids, but they're dealing with other children's or other parents' children. And then they swap off. And so that's a constant motion. And again, that's another class. If you ever get a chance to go see it, go see it. Shannon's been there for a long time. And Shannon's had the same aide there for a long time. And they work they're just fluid. Okay, all those programs over there and all the folks are just fluid. And then if you look at the one page there, the purpose page there, you see it's early childhood education, it's discussions, it's parent strategies. Again, we're not teaching parents how to parent. That's up to the parents to do that. What we're doing is we're just trying to offer alternatives, and you're getting your kids ready to play with other kids. Even the parents are an opportunity to get their kids involved, and that's what it's all about. Then if you look on the right there, you see all the different items that they cover through there with the social, emotional, all the way down. We do have field trips. We do have outings in the summertime. We do run a program in the summertime, and that is a lot of outings in the summertime. What we're going to do this year, I don't know yet. Okay, I haven't had a chance to talk to Dr. Kelson on what direction we're moving in, but we'll have that discussion and we'll go from there. We do run the programs. If you look on the right, we have 3 classes. We do a Monday, Wednesday, and it's a 3-hour program. Then we do a Tuesday, Thursday, and then we do a Friday only. Okay, because that way we have as many parents involved as can be. We do have a waiting list usually every year, but we try to get as many parents in there. You know, and then if they're not in it this year, or if they're in it this year, then, you know, we look to get the other folks in next year. And then if we have slots, then we can have return folks come in. But we want to make sure we get as many people as possible running through our program. Okay, I guess that's for the Parent Edge, that's about it. And Sprouts, that's about it. So any questions, be more than happy to answer them if I can.
That's great. Sorry. It sounds really good, especially I'm excited about the parent education. Yeah, my grandson went through the IEP program and did not qualify. So yay, but kind of sad at the same time because we were hoping he'd go through there. But anyway, this looks so good. Thank you for sharing and telling us about it. It looks so good.
Dr. Fernando.
Is this the first time in a while that you presented about these programs? I don't think I've been aware about Sprouts.
No, I haven't presented.
Okay. Great. No, thank you for the information.
Mr. Ellenson?
Thank you, Mr. Letourneau, for presenting on it. I mean, we all know the important and good work you do at Whitcomb every day. Thank you for taking on these other responsibilities too, and working with these 2 programs in particular require a lot of time and attention and TLC, and you're very good at all of those things. So thanks for doing that.
Mrs. Reuter?
Thank you for taking the time to come and present about all of these programs tonight. The parent, I'm not going to call it, the parent-child participation program has been all Zoom this year, yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm really glad that they figured out a way to do something. I mean, it's been very hard, and I think that while it is not as good as in person, just like everything else we've been dealing with this year, it's really wonderful. And again, our staff members are so committed to the programs here that I really appreciate they were able to figure out how to give some resemblance of the program to families. And I, like you, hope that by the summertime we're able to reopen and get it going again. The Sprouts preschool, you mentioned that there were, I think, 8 and 5 this year. Is that a typical amount for those 2 programs, or is that smaller because of COVID this year?
No, that's typical. It can range. I've had times when I've had 5 in both programs. I've had, 3 at one time and 7 in the other, and then within 3 weeks, boom, it bounces up.
Okay.
At one point, when we started to open up, and this was, we had, I want to say maybe 5 in the intensive needs class. But then when we got done with Christmas break, we came back, it went to 9. Okay, so it's just a matter of when the eligibility kicks in, when they're assessed, and when it can take place.
And not considering COVID, do you have a maximum capacity for those classes?
I want to say 10, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it 10, and then after 10 we may have to open a new class?
We can get as high as 12.
Okay.
Okay.
As far
Okay.
as 12, and then
Okay. And then when you talk about the aides, are a lot, maybe in the intensive class, are there a lot of one-on-one aides? I mean, do you have with those kiddos the teacher and then aides for everybody, or a lot of them? How does that?
it all depends on what the IEP calls for.
Okay.
If we have a student that needs a one-on-one and that's in the best interest of the student, then by all means. So in one class, we've got the teacher, we've got 2 aides, and we've got one-on-one for a student. The thing about it, though, is you don't want to have too many adults in there because you want to be able to get done what needs to be done. But at the same time, those kids they're running. They are all over the place. And even right now in times of COVID, these teachers have done a phenomenal job of setting up little stations in there and blocking off those stations. So a kid's playing with a toy. When they're done playing with that toy, it goes into a basket. Okay? Then, if somebody else wants to come and play with that toy, no can do. And then at the end of the day, for an hour, the teacher and the aides are in there disinfecting all the toys. And you're talking a ton of toys and everything like that. But those aides, they're running. If you're not willing to run, if you're not willing to change diapers when it's necessary, you're in the wrong place with Sprouts. You got to be willing to do all of that. Okay, and they do. And they, without griping, without grousing, they're on it.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity for you to come down and recognize all those folks, because they really are doing a incredible service to these students and their families as they get older and progress that way. So, and you're very well suited for it. I think that you've got the bookends here, and I appreciate you. It takes a special person to love doing what you do, and I'm really glad that you do. So thank you very much, Mr. Letourneau.
Dr. De Leon?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I went out of turn.
No, it's
I thought
okay.
you'd already spoken.
It's okay. Mr. Letourneau, I don't know that our public knows all of the services that this district provides for our families and our students. And these 3 programs, actually, that were mentioned tonight are just another wonderful opportunity for families to get their kids off to a good start for their educational career, and hopefully bring as much as you can up to level to get into the regular classroom. Just can't even tell you how much I appreciate all of those staff members, yourself. It's a service that is much needed, and we don't hear a lot about it, so thank you very much. Dr. De Leon.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Letourneau, and please do thank your staff. Extend our deepest gratitude. They do such amazing work for kids who really, really need them, and people like you and I who've worked with at-risk kids and kids who struggle our entire careers really have a heart for that, and I appreciate the work that is done there, and I thank you in particular for helping those programs along and providing them the outstanding support that they need. So thank you so much, and thanks to your staff. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Moving up or moving down? I see that.
Let's see.
Eric's
Yes.
there, yeah.
All righty then. At this time, I would love to call up the principal of the one and only Sandburg Middle School, Mr. Eric Osborne, who we have a board recognition. So I just want to set this up by telling the board that I don't think I had even barely set foot in Glendora for about a half minute when I went over to Sandburg and took a tour with Mr. Osborne, and I can tell you that he was so excited about a proposal around farm to school. He had like the whole thing set, written, ready to go, the whole vision of what that was going to look like, and luckily I had some experience with that and said, go for it, let's do it. And so he is here tonight being recognized because his kids wrote for a grant. They wrote for a grant, so and received it. So I would love it, Mr. Osborne, if you would tell us about it and let us know all the amazing things happening with Farm to School, which is just an incredible program.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the recognition, and really the recognition goes to the staff. And I'll tell a story real quick. So this program is really probably 8, maybe 9 years in the making. And I don't mean the farm. The farm's a byproduct of relationships. So when I was assistant principal over at Goddard, I mentored a lot of kids. Well, those kids grow up, those kids move on to do great things, and we have a bunch of kids that are at Cal Poly Pomona working on their master's degree. And one of those kids came to me with this proposal. So that's how this program actually came to be. Okay? So what we're doing is we're creating a half-acre farm on campus with the goals of connecting kids to one another, to hands-on education, specifically in science, and with the ultimate goal of cultivating a lot of food to feed back into our salad bar. So it's been an incredible process, and we're really thankful for the nonprofit Plants for People, which is started by several of our GUSD alum. Thank you.
Very nice.
What kinds of things are you growing?
We haven't started growing yet.
Okay.
But it's all going to be fruits and vegetables. So we're going to have a 2-row orchard, and we're going to have over 27 planter boxes. And these planter boxes are large. They're 16 feet by 4 feet, so over 2,000 feet of growing space. We're creating a new elective called the Spartan Garden, and it's really environmental horticulture class, and they're going to be the inaugural class that's actually going to plant the garden and learn about how to cultivate plants. In addition to that, they're going to be creating marketing materials and grant proposals as we seek further funding for this project. So far, this project has been completely funded through grants, and so thanks to the Rainbird Corporation, they're paying for the entire professional irrigation system on a half acre, which is not cheap, and we're very, very thankful to their partnership. And so our goal would be for the irrigation system to be installed probably early June, and then the next step is to work with our local Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts to get some volunteers out there, some Eagle Scouts, to create the raised planter boxes and get the soil in. And so once the weather cools down after summer and our kids have the education through the class, then they'll be able to actually start planting the garden. And so hopefully by this time next year, we'll have a full-blown garden. We do have 6 phases of the garden, everywhere from greenhouses to hydroponic systems. Another goal of the garden, like I said, it's all centered on connections, right? So we want to connect kids to what they're learning. We also want to fight food insecurity. So a lot of kids don't have easy access to fresh fruits and vegetables, and so we want to teach them how to grow their own. We want to help break down barriers. You know, when you're working next to somebody, you're harvesting, you're growing, nothing else matters, right? You're talking, all those boundaries are broken down. And so there's a lot. The last connection is the connection to the community. Our ultimate goal would be to have the garden open on weekends and either have our elementary kids be able to participate in short Saturday classes, or to have the general public participate in how to grow tomatoes or citrus trees. So that's kind of more of our long-term goals, probably 2, maybe 3 years out. But so far we're doing great on the funding, and we're actually ahead of schedule. So we weren't anticipating starting the elective class this year, but thanks to the generosity of the Rainbird Corporation, we're able to get the garden up and moving. Like I said, we've partnered with Plants for People, which is a very new nonprofit run by mostly GUSD alum students, and they participated in a Shark Tank event at Cal Poly Pomona 2 weeks ago, and they won 3rd place and received an additional $2,000, which is going to go to our outdoor classroom space. It's going to have a classroom space as well. So far we're having some great success, and we're really, really excited what this offers to our kids and the greater community of Glendora.
Amazing. Mrs. Merkley, would you like to say something?
I am excited. It sounds so cool. I know it's mostly to go back to the school, but will you have like a farmer's market to sell surplus?
We've talked about that. We're still working on the legality of that. Probably not right now, Mrs. Merkley. We're hoping we could provide it back to the school and train our food service workers how to clean that and prep it, so we could give it back to our students, because then it becomes self-funding. So we'd actually be able to make some money from the state by doing that. Ultimately, we've talked about having a farmer's market and selling pumpkins or something like that. We would love to do that if we're able to.
That's great.
Yeah.
Dr. Fernando?
You know, I think this is an opening to kids getting more involved in community-supported agriculture, which is something that is so important. Also, we live in a world of concrete, unfortunately, so getting kids out, getting their hands dirty,
in the dirt,
connecting to the earth. I just think this is a great opportunity for them, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Ellenson. Almost going to elevate you to that.
Thank you, Mr. Osborne. I appreciate it. I was excited when you did an outdoor classroom off of the science building, and this is that times 1,000. The kids are going to have so much fun doing this, and they're going to learn a lot, and they're not even going to realize they're learning a lot because it's so much fun. And I think all of your kids are going to want in on this, and I think all kids at all schools are going to want in on something like this. So the opportunities are endless, and to think that you're taking what probably 30 years ago were those old tennis courts, right?
Correct.
And a very dilapidated area, and turning it into what might be the best part of your campus, where people want to spend their time and want to learn, is outstanding. I can't wait for it to finish. Thank you for a couple years of leadership on this, right? This has been in the works for a while, and your patience and getting all the right people together, getting all the right funding necessary, and the approvals, it's paying off because this is going to be outstanding, and people are going to love it. I even think, Dr. Kelson, how this could feed into maybe a culinary arts pathway, career tech ed pathway at Glendora High School too. So a lot of amazing things that are going to come from this. Thank you for leading it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mrs. Ruger.
I had the pleasure of watching your Shark Tank experience for the grant, that they took third place and they took People's Choice Award, the Jacobs. And these two young men, there were some fascinating competitors that they were up against. A mental health magazine, a really fancy umbrella, some clothes for your dogs, all sorts of really different, neat opportunities. But these young men were extremely articulate, well thought out, and had a really accomplishable, scalable project. These other places were saying, oh, we'll make $3 million, oh, we'll do this. I'm sorry, it didn't seem especially realistic to me, whereas these two young men had a business plan that was quite realistic and accomplishable and scalable and all of that. And where I'm going with that is that they came back to you with it. So they were inspired by you all those years ago and the other teachers that they might have had at Goddard or wherever in Glendora Unified School District, and to see our students passionate and coming up with really innovative and great ideas and wanting to bring it back to this school district really says something about the people who worked with them as they were coming through. So to you and to all the other teachers that were in their way as they went through, I just want to say thank you, because you certainly get back what you put into it, and you all must be very, very proud of these young men. They were really something else that day. So congratulations to you and to all their other teachers and mentors through the way.
Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty special to work with your former students in this capacity, right? Like, these people are smart kids, right? Like, they're way smarter than I am, right? And they're doing some really good things, and just they're so conservation minded, right? They just have such a heart for stewardship and a need to, they see a problem, right? And they want to solve it. And it's a nonprofit. They're not going for the $3 million. They're going to make a difference. Yeah. And I could get behind that every day, right? That's pretty impressive. So they're an incredible group of
Well, and I'd like to encourage you, when we are allowed to have assemblies or allowed to have this group, these two that I saw and any of their other colleagues, I think would be really inspirational to our other kids to say, look, you really can do this. You can come from where you all are sitting right here. I sat there 12 years ago, whatever the number was, and here I am doing this. I think that their motivation, as you suggest, their intelligence, all that are quite inspirational and role models for our students that are coming. So let's put these kids in the way of the kids now, these young men or students in the way of the kids now, just like you were all in their way as they came through.
That's part of the circle, right? So
yep.
Hopefully through this project we could foster that mentoring type relationships for the boys and girls in our community. So great idea.
They'd be some good ones.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Osborne, as always.
You're welcome.
It starts somewhere, and it started with you. And having taught myself, we made a pizza garden one time, and it's hard to grow pepperoni, I will tell you that. But we grew tomatoes and basil and did it in slices like a pizza, and the marigolds around the outside. The kids I mean, I tried to go every other day out to the garden. They didn't want to wait. They wanted to go every day. So kids really don't get that opportunity at home as much as we don't know what circumstances, even if they have a yard to garden. So it's really great that they get this opportunity. And again, giving back to the community is what we hope is in all of us in one way or another. But appreciate it so much. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you very
much. It has
much.
to feel good to see those kids come back to you.
It feels great. And
Yeah.
like I said, this is much expedited, right? Like, we didn't think we'd be here, and it's to the generosity of a lot of people to see the value in this. You know, when we were working up there one Sunday, we were cleaning up the weeds, and there's baseball going on. Almost every person stopped. What are you guys doing? Are you building a garden? And so I think the community sees that we're doing something really special and good. And, you know, that's one of the key tenets of being a Sandburg Spartan is we give back to the community. And so this project embodies a lot of what we believe in as Spartans. And so appreciate you guys' gratitude and your support and the opportunity to be recognized today. So thank you.
Invite us up with a shovel.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
Okay.
That
And I
ground
hear
is
you
hard.
have,
Okay, good.
I hear you got some more landscaping done this weekend too, so
We
it's looking
did,
pretty
yeah.
spiffy over there.
Yeah, we had the local Latter-day Saint Church was out on Saturday morning, and I was able to talk to their state leader, and incredible group. At Sandburg, we had well over 30 adults and children on campus, landscaping, and so friendly, so helpful, and we just appreciate their help. It's been tough times for the school district as a whole, so it's really great to see volunteers coming in, just helping to support us, and the campus looks fantastic, so very appreciative of them as well.
Well,
So,
enjoy.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
everybody.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Osborne. Very proud of you and your entire program and staff. Good stuff.
Okay, mental health, Dr. De Leon.
At this time, I would like to call on Dr. Kelson to present our mental health program, who will be followed by Dr. DeGrazia.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to provide a brief update on social emotional learning and mental health support. It was a mere 6 months ago, at the end of October, when a team of educators from across this district updated the board and community on what was in fact a couple of months into the school year in a pandemic. And at that time, we talked about some of the information you're going to see here this evening in very brief form in preparation for a conversation about upcoming steps that we're going to put in place with the team on behalf of the students in the district. So, Will, if you would. Thank you. So we're well aware of the outstanding history of guidance programs in Glendora Unified School District. That tradition of excellent guidance and counseling, if you will, exists because of an outstanding team of professionals. In addition to that, we have our Glendora Healthy Minds website, which is regularly updated, providing resources and information to students and their families. We also have a number of clubs and activities on our campuses from elementary all the way up to both high schools to help students feel involved, feel connected, feel supported, and really for those who have an interest in wellness, mental health, to be able to begin to explore some of those interests as potential future careers. When we began really thinking about bringing students back and we entered in the orange tier, we worked with the principals to get feedback on what these programs would look like as we return to campuses. So we looked really at a couple of key areas. First of all, programs across the curriculum at elementary, middle, and high school where students are receiving that support, whether through an orientation program, whether some of the character development programs that are in place at the elementary school, or even in places like a high school psychology class where students have the opportunity to really learn about what their wellness, their social emotional health means in a kind of formal academic sense. We also know that our counseling teams have stepped up to provide that ongoing guidance and support. We have a number of clubs advised by teachers, and I will tell you, having had the opportunity to attend our NAMI meeting for a few minutes, the group at the high school that has helped the Wellness Warriors with their planning, those students in that short time I got to spend with them talked about something that the pandemic has taught them that I wanted to share with you this evening. They would be much more eloquent, and yet it's important to say that the students talked a lot about the balance that they found. That for them, having the opportunity to take a step back and look at their priorities and how they have spent their time, as well as the investments that they made into their own families and in their younger siblings, helping with older family members, wanting to preserve those good lessons, if you will, as part of the silver linings that they want to take away. In addition to that, we have some of the most impressive physical activity and health programs that I've ever seen in a district, and a commitment to students to ensure that they understand the importance of physical activity and its benefit to their, not only their physical health, but also to their mental health. So when we begin to talk about next steps for student social emotional learning, there are a couple of things that we will be putting in place. The first is that Mr. Lopez, and thank you for your work supporting the team as well, Mr. Lopez and I will be visiting site counseling teams to meet with each group and get their perspective on where we've been, as well as where they would like to see us going, with strong consideration for the national counseling standards in alignment with the district's vision and strategic initiatives. We have had a coordinated school health committee under the leadership of Mrs. Melissa Gurman. That committee took a year off because of the pandemic. We are looking to reactivate it in the fall and to include a greater focus on really mental health and wellness across the student and adult community that we serve. Third, we're going to continue what is an effort that has been a part of Glendora Unified in the response to intervention, or RTI model, as well as some things you may be familiar with PBIS, or positive behavior interventions and supports. We're looking to expand the work of those teams at our school sites to include what is called multi-tiered systems of support, or MTSS. That includes both academic intervention as well as behavioral intervention, and it looks at really 3 tiers of students. How do we serve those who may need just a little check-in? That's tier 1, all the way to the middle of maybe a check-in and some more time, some extra tutoring, if you will. Or an extra conversation with a counselor or a mental health professional, all the way up to tier 3, which is students in a very small percentage in most school districts that really need more of a coordinated intervention effort across both their classes and the guidance program. So the counselors, the teachers, the administrators, the team in the community that is going to help us drive this work to the next level. It will be exciting to get together and start to talk about that now that, quite frankly, we can get together and really talk about those things. So I'd like to pass the mic to my colleague, Dr. DeGrazia, who's going to talk a little bit about the staff-specific components of this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kelson. And just the needs that students have, our staff have the same needs, especially during a pandemic, and what they've gone through and the toils and tribulations they've gone through and worked so hard and persevered so well. So a number of things in support of their social emotional learning and their wellness that we have in place, that we've had in place for the entire year. And actually this first one goes back a couple years, and that's the Glendora Healthy Minds website. The number of resources for teachers to assist their students and for self-assistance for their own wellness is outstanding. And high in number. There's direct support on that site as well for a number of areas. Care Solace is one of them, to look for support, mental health outside of even their primary care provider. And also, they can fill out a Google form. If they need to speak to someone and get support from our mental health team, they have an opportunity to do so in a confidential and a private manner. Led by Dr. Summers, on April 7th, a staff presentation was held. We sent out the video recording of that presentation, and it was also all the slides that showed many of these same staff supports and student supports that Dr. Kelson referenced earlier as well, for social emotional growth, learning, things to look for in your students as they return, things to look for in yourself as you return to the classroom. We started a partnership for the first time ever with LACO, a paid partnership, a contract with LACO for telehealth services. It's a 24/7 access hotline. We've had a number of staff access that hotline over this year. We will continue to support staff through the summer and into the coming year as well. We also, LACO has assisted us with additional counseling services, monthly newsletters, as well to support our staff. And then we have the work of our primary care providers in tandem with Blue Shield and Kaiser and supports that they provide. And then there's also the partnership with our labor organizations. I know that GTA and through their connections with CSEA will be sending out additional supports and resources to staff, and I know CSEA has done that this past year as well. So through that and always looking to add more, we look to protect the mental health and wellness of all staff each day here in Glendora Unified.
If I may, hearing Dr. DeGrazia mention always looking to add to enhance the work that we're doing, one of the great learnings that's come out of our process and conversations as a team throughout the year has really been around the desire to work with the team to figure out what other supportive services we can put in place. And after meeting with each of the counseling teams and providing an update to this body, it will be interesting to take a look at how we can maximize what is available to our students and their families and really strive, as I heard Dominic wisely say, to even meet those needs in a greater and more effective and efficient way. So looking forward to hearing the feedback from the team and how we might begin to really look at back together, connecting students, families, and school staffs for the greater health of our community.
Mm-hmm. Thank you both very much. Any board members have a comment or question? Mrs. Reuter.
I do want to thank you both for this presentation and this update tonight. Dr. DeGrazia, I mentioned in my board comments a couple weeks ago that I'm worried about who's taking care of the people who are taking care of our students. And so making sure that our staff knows what resources are available to them and is really important to me. I expressed my own anxiety about what right now looks like with our students returning and what next year looks like with everybody coming back in a full capacity, et cetera. So I do appreciate the next steps for student social emotional learning. Can you tell me a little bit more about what the Coordinated School Health Committee is or was and is going to be, please?
Yes, I can. I know a member or two of our board have actually served on that committee, so I certainly welcome them. Yeah. If I may, it is a project that is connected to the Tobacco Use Prevention Education Act, or TUPE funds. Okay. And Mrs. Gervin engaged with the community a number of times each year to look at resources available, to share the objectives of the grant each year, and to elicit feedback. So I don't know if any of the board members who were here participating on that committee would like to add, or if I have provided enough information.
So specific to tobacco use?
Historically, yes, and physical health. Okay. However, it is interesting and worth considering, depending on the feedback from the community and the counseling groups, to really look at connecting the work of that group to wider initiatives, social emotional health, even building more health careers. There's so much that can be done under the umbrella of health that goes beyond just substance abuse prevention. It's an important part, but not the only thing.
Well, I understand and appreciate that they took a break this year and look forward to them getting started back up when it's appropriate for them to do so. So then, like I said, I'm going to go back a little bit in time to my board comments last board meeting about what the school year is going to look like for our students next year. I really appreciate the step where you talk about visiting site counseling teams to gain input. I'm assuming that that's something that's going to be starting somewhat soon. There's a lot of planning, I suspect, that goes into making decisions about staffing and programs and all of that kind of stuff. So I think it's important to hear from our staff. That's something that's going to be starting somewhat soon.
You're correct. We're meeting as a leadership planning team on May 13th. However, meetings with counseling teams will be scheduled by the end of this week for after May 13th. So we'll give the teams a little bit of lead time, meet and to organize around the national standards, and then our objective is to go out and meet with each team before they're finished for this school year.
Okay, great. And then that is in conjunction as far as the planning for the MTSS and social emotional support and learning. This is all sort of happening together at the same time, or is it one step and then the next step?
Great question. So this is the step that involves the counseling teams. Mm-hmm. The principals have submitted their site status report, if you will, around SEL. So I gave each of them back in February the opportunity to put together current, I guess I would call it an analysis of where their sites work with interventions and all of those extra programs and supports are. So our team will get together and review those plans while also talking with counselors and potentially even begin to engage some of our teaching staff. Otherwise, we will look to the fall to bring further conversations with teachers at a wider district level into the process and conversation. I think what the principals have given us is going to be an adequate representation, if you will, for the current status as we look to engage teachers next year.
Maybe not putting stuff on teachers' plate this year either is a good idea. Okay, well, I don't mean to beat a dead horse here, but this is something that is really a high priority for me personally and on the school board here. And I think that my colleagues a couple weeks ago echoed their same commitment to supporting the district, the staff, et cetera, as far as mental health is concerned. So what I would like to do is request a board study session. I think that putting the steps in order, visiting all those site counseling teams, getting all the information from the principal, all of those things obviously need to come before so that you've gathered all the information, you have all that information, and then I don't know if I need another board member that supports that, or if I need to make a motion, what the procedural aspect of requesting a study session to better understand, because it's a lot, I think, and I think that there's a lot of development and growth that you have planned for, and I'm really excited to hear about that. So do I have to do anything?
I second that request.
And I would third it.
Okay, so I don't know what the appropriate timeline for that might be, and I understand that I'm putting you on the spot right here as far as that's concerned, but if you're starting these site council visits imminently, May 13th, et cetera, and I understand that it's a pretty busy time right now for everybody. Is sometime early summer appropriate? What sort of, like I said, I understand I'm putting you on the spot here.
I would defer to Dr. DeLeon in terms of scheduling it. We will have a great opportunity to be ready to talk with you as soon as I've had a chance to meet with all the counseling teams. So I can let you know by the end of the week, Dr. DeLeon, if when those meetings could be scheduled.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. Sorry, I was on already. This is an important part of our planning for everything that we do. So as we move forward, planning our MTSS for both academics and behavior, social emotional learning, that's a big part of what we're going to do. As you know, the state has charged us with going forward and supporting our students post-pandemically. I guess I'll say post-pandemically. And I am a person that likes to really look forward and plan very strategically to do that without sort of rushing into things, but to really plan well. And I think a board study session maybe in the summer might be a good thing for us as we begin to engage in the work. The work of planning MTSS, a really well-planned, structured, systemic plan for supports will take about a year to meet with teachers, support staff, counselors, administrators, and fully see the plan begin to come to fruition. It's not a fast thing, but certainly some components of it can be done and discussed over the summer and move forward with some pieces. So this is going to be a very thorough planning, but it's not something that you rush into. We really need to think through. And additionally, we haven't been able to collect a lot of data this year because we have been in distance learning. And there is a lot of data. You'll remember we talked about the 3 Ps. We need a lot of that to be able to plan these programs, and definitely a lot of stakeholder input. So while I would love to say we'll have everything ready to go in the fall, we won't, but we definitely can have an update of where we are through a study session and give the board the opportunity to ask all of those very deep questions that need to be asked and answered as a governance team and as a district administrative team. So
I appreciate that. I think that communication and collaboration is critical to this process. It's something that I feel strongly about it. I appreciate you're all taking the time tonight to bring us up to speed what's happened so far this year, what you're planning moving forward, and I look forward to the updates and the strategic plan as far as this is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Drs. Kelson and DeGrazia. Good job. Thank you so much. And to all the team that gave input into the report, all of our amazing counselors that are out there that really helped us with this. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Nope. Okay, comments from members of the Board of Education. Mrs. Merkley.
I only have a couple of things going along with the mental health piece. My youngest daughter just graduated from BYU last week. I was just got from Utah. Thank you, graduate of Glendora. But it has been a real struggle, and that's one reason I mention this is that she just struggled so hard because of her mental health. And so the supports that she received at college were a big help. She didn't really have issues in high school, but to see how hard it was, thank goodness she has a service dog, she has her husband, but these things are real that I am just beginning to learn. I don't understand as much as I would like, but this is so great that we have these supports not only for students but for staff as well. So thank you for the efforts that you've put in.
Dr. Fernando.
Yeah, I'm reflecting on the presentations we've had today, and I think despite the fact that this has been an awful last year and a half, what I've heard in the presentations is a theme of resilience. A theme of resilience that I hear in our staff about the numbers of times that they have been asked to pivot, they've asked to redo everything, where they have to follow 3 kinds of processes of compliance. Yet at the end of the day, their perspective has been, how do we serve our students? And I think that resilience is something that I think we should not lose, even in the midst of these difficult times, that our district has been a district of resilience. Now, it's not easy, we're not through it, but we have been resilient. So, I mean, in Michelle Gallos's presentation, in the work that's happening at Sandburg, in this recent presentation about mental health, the fact that we are open at the way that we are open compared to most districts in the East San Gabriel Valley, that is a sign of resilience. I also want to congratulate Maya Shinnick, who is a junior at Glendora High School, who is a very fast runner and ran 100 meters on Saturday and is in the top 10 in the state of California.
Nice. Wow.
And it's my hope that as we continue on at the high school, that we continue to acknowledge all our athletes. While we have a number of great sports, I think we need to do a better job of acknowledging all our athletes. And Maya, I saw Maya run like the wind on Saturday and was incredibly impressed with her character and her class. So congratulations to her. And then also, and I know I'm going to be a broken record, but just encouraging people to get the vaccine. We are vaccinating, as I'm looking at the data just now, 7.1 million people have at least received a first dose. And if we continue on at this rate, according to County Supervisor Solis, we can have herd immunity by the end of June. So again, to the members of the public, if you are eligible, I recommend you getting vaccine, because this will allow us to open up our schools in a more full way in the fall to effectively serve our students, to effectively have the programs that we want to have for our students. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fernando. Mr. Ellenson.
Thank you. It brought a question to my mind. Mr. Weinstein, do you have any idea of how many vaccines we've given out?
We're averaging each session 200 vaccines, but I couldn't give you a number of how many we've given out. But the numbers have been pretty impressive about how efficient we are when we are open on our vaccine clinics. But I'm not sure. I would defer to Dr. Kelson or Dr. De Leon if they have that information.
You have it, go ahead.
Prior to Friday's vaccination clinic, we had upwards of 600, nearly 700. So I anticipate with the rate you're describing, we're right around 800 to 850 at this point.
So we're still getting doses every week?
That is correct. And we've also applied, we've gotten really, I have to give kudos to our nurse, our district nurse, Sonia, who has really been working well with the LA County Health Department. And we have been, they're talking to us, their doctors are calling us a model district and trying to make sure that this model district that we've created in vaccines and encourage other districts to look at us. In fact, we just found out in an email this morning that there's a local district just south of us that wants to model us and apply to be a vaccine center for their community, just like we will continue to be.
Thank you.
Oh, I have one question. I know we've been given the Moderna vaccine.
Currently, yeah, we've been doing
but
that.
the 16 and up can only have Pfizer. Are we going to switch to that?
We applied for Pfizer so that we can do the 12 years old and up. So the minute Pfizer was approved for 12-year-old and up, Sonia was right on it, went immediately and said we would really like to keep the Moderna coming because we still have a lot of second doses that need to be done, but we'd like to switch over to Pfizer so that we can serve our students better.
Thank you.
Mrs. Reuter.
Did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was also going to say, on that note, for families to be on the lookout, because Nurse Sonia has prepared a survey for our families to see how many of them would want their child to be vaccinated once it's approved for 12 and above, so that we can plan for the number of doses we need, because the county is very positive about us continuing on and being able to vaccinate all of our students. And so we're actually... For our community out there, parents, keep your eyes peeled. You're going to get a survey. Please let us know. We'd love to be able to vaccinate all of our kids. Thank you.
That is all great news. Thank you very much for that. I wanted to talk about some wonderful experiences I had at site visits last week. I was able to visit Goddard one day and Sellers another day. And while I always really enjoy talking to the principals and getting the high level, and then of course love going in and talking with the teachers, I really learned a lot from the front office staff and all of the aides that I happened to walk past and have a few minutes to talk to. And so I want to recognize those two groups of folks specifically because, man, are they running a lot of logistics these days. The front office staff and fielding all the phone calls and coming up with all the information and dealing with all the parents. I will say that everybody said that the parents have been really great, and I want to thank our parents for that because there's been a lot of shifts and a lot of changes and a lot of new things, and I appreciate that you all are trusting your sites to do the best thing for your children and keeping them safe that way. So thank you for being on your best behavior, parents. Let's keep that up. And I do really want to thank all the aides because I understand that they're pulling I don't know, maybe quadruple duty these days with all the different jobs that they have. I mean, they maybe were lunch aides, noon aides, whatever the case might be, but now they are wearing maybe 6 different hats in a day. And so thank you to all those folks. Everybody that I talked to, every single teacher that I talked to was thrilled to be back, was thrilled to be with their students, and was figuring out how to just make it work. And not even just make it work. I'm sorry, that implies that it's really hard and they're just barely scraping by. That's not the case at all. They all were embracing the situation and just the looks on their face and the sincerity of their voice and their comments, they're thrilled to be back. I did get to talk to a couple of students. I try not to interrupt whatever the case might be, but they all said that they were happy to be back. They all said that they were tired. Your kids are coming home tired, and I think the teachers are all pretty tired too right now. But the sincerity in talking with those kids and in visiting those classrooms and talking with the middle school kids who were able to articulate that, they learn better when they're in class and they can focus when their teacher's in front of them. And yes, they feel like they've known this teacher the whole year, even though they've never met them, nor maybe ever been on that campus before in the case of some 6th graders. And so our teachers have done a wonderful job connecting with their kids all year long so that when they did come in, these kids weren't freaked out by being in the classroom with these new teachers. The 4th and 5th grade classrooms that we saw at Sellers were full classrooms, and it's a pleasure to see them that they're all able to be there. Everybody who wants to be there is able to be there, and just puts a pep in my step, if you will, being able to go visit those classrooms. So thanks to parents for being on your best behavior with your teachers and front office staff and principals, et cetera. Please keep up that positive effort. Thanks to the front office staff and those noon aides. Thanks to all the teachers. Thanks to the principals, everybody. It's a wonderful feeling to see all of that going on. And these kids don't seem to mind the protocols. Really, they don't. They're following the protocols. They're staying on the dots. They're pulling their masks up over their noses when they're asked to. That may slack off over time. Kids are kids. That's the way that goes. But they don't seem to be bothered. They don't seem to be bothered by the partitions or their masks. So it's a pleasure to see. Thank you all very much.
Well, part of the bummer of going last.
Tell me about it.
I was with Mrs. Reuter on the 2 days at Goddard and at Sellers, and so she's pretty much given you the lowdown. One of the other things that the aides are doing is monitoring the restrooms because you know these elementary kids, and bless their hearts, I've watched it. You're walking down the aisle and you're swinging on the pole or wrapping your arm around this or that. And so everything has to get wiped when you see that happening. So not only that, but each stall is taken care of. We probably have cleaner bathrooms than we've ever had before the last couple of weeks. But again, and I need to ask Mrs. Reuter, because we went into a classroom where they actually have a society, and the teacher rewards them with goat money. And you were going to take, did you ever call her to see if you could take your baby goat?
I have offered my goat.
Okay.
No pressure, Mr. Bishop.
So she thought it would be kind of cute if the kids could, Mrs. Reuter has a 2-month-old baby goat in her house. I am also grateful for the testing that is going on, and I know Dr. De Leon gave a very thorough presentation about that. But I also want you to know that we have had players, 2 players that I know of, and a coach that tested positive. So that's keeping everyone else playing if you can quarantine just a couple of people at a time so that we can all get back to as much normal as possible. COVID testing is free to families and the students, so no one's asking them to pay for it. The staff and the Board of Education wants everyone to be as safe as possible and keep all our schools open and our athletic programs open as well. Again, thanks to everyone for the information tonight in these presentations, because it is good information for the public and the board to get. We don't know what's going on in every single site. It's impossible to be out there every day. But this district provides a lot of services that are very diverse and meets the needs of many types of students. Let me just check this out if there's anything else I wanted to say. I'm going to say a little something because we have had some comments about our kids. We're not going to know the loss of learning because of no state testing. And I want you to know that that's just one form of knowing how your kids are doing. Please look at the assessments that they're getting. We're also going to be providing a STAR assessment, which not to be confused with the old STAR testing program, but this is a district test that's going to be able to, and correct me if I'm wrong here, or maybe you can speak to it, Dr. De Leon, just a little bit about the age levels and what information it provides.
Yes, and we had an assessment task force led by Dr. Summers. I thought I saw.
She's here.
There she is. Dr. Summers, do you want to come up and say a few words, or would you like me to try? You could come on up. I would love the expert to come up for a moment.
I'm sorry to throw you on the spot.
That's okay. But she's been working very closely with our teachers around. But what I can say is the state has allowed us the freedom to use local assessments. And so, Dr. Summers, why don't you fill the board in?
Absolutely. So the state of California, the CDE this year, applied for and received a testing flexibility waiver, which allowed us to substitute locally administered assessments in place of the Smarter Balanced if we viewed the administration of the Smarter Balanced to be too difficult this year. And in part because we have so many students still home on remote, and that remote assessment would be so difficult with the secure browser that it needed and the types of devices and different things. The assessment task force met, which was all principals and also the test site coordinators that we have at each site, and some union representation and a variety of other people. And they met and we looked at all the possibilities and what the state considered we could consider in what was viable and viability considerations, and then what our situation at Glendora Unified looked like. And then they gave input, and based on that input, 80% of the task force did want to go with a locally administered assessment for the less interruption to the instructional time that we have remaining. Now that we just got the kids back into school, we didn't want to take weeks upon weeks to do the state testing, and so we already own Renaissance STAR assessments in the lower grades, and we elected to expand our use of those to be able to do a test in ELA and math for the testing grades, and to collect data that way. We can also expand to other grades if we wanted to, but for the testing grades, for sure, we can do that test and collect standards-based data in a test that takes much less time to give and is computer adapted.
And is it true the results are pretty instantaneously?
Yes.
And are you providing parent reports as well?
Yes, that's one of the requirements of the state for the locally administered test is it had to be standards aligned, it had to be reportable data, individual to parents, and also by school and by district, and disaggregated by student group.
Thank you very much. I think that's a topic of interest to many folks out there, and it will really provide us with some data as we go forward with summer programs and what's the MTSS.
Yes.
And will you tell us what MTSS means one more time? Just for
Yes, go ahead.
I know, I've been.
She knows it.
Sorry.
I was wanting the public to know. Multi-tiered support services. Yes.
Multi-tiered systems of support.
Thank you so much. Can't thank you enough. And sorry to put you on the
That's
spot.
okay.
You're a rock star.
On the spot. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Let me put my glasses on. Public hearing. The public hearing is now open regarding the intention of the Board of Education to appoint Melinda Delwicious as its representative on the Personnel Commission for a term beginning April 2021 through December 2023. Are there any public comments regarding this hearing? Any comments from the Board of Education?
Thank you to Mrs. Delicious.
Yes.
We really appreciate her service.
Great. The public hearing is now closed. And now public input. Speakers may address the Board of Education on non-agenda and agenda items. Board policy requires that public presentations to the board comply with procedures as previously listed on the agenda. I have one card from Wendy Jarvie. Would you like to come up, please?
Good evening. My name is Wendy Jarvie. Coincidentally, I'm speaking about mental health tonight. At the last board meeting, a bright and articulate young lady impressed us all with a speech about mental health. During member comments at the end, several of you took a moment to add praises, which she was fully due. However, in the same breath, you professed to take mental health seriously. Personally, I find this insufferable because for the last 5 months, I stood here, other parents, students, and professionals stood here and begged you to open up our schools, to end the distance learning. For 5 months, my very first experience with school board meetings and speaking was this past October about distance learning. And at the last board meeting, we celebrated that the schools were open minimum day, but it was a win for us that we would be open. One of the board members lamented how up until now our hands were tied, but then quickly corrected themselves to say, we all have choices. Choices. That is precisely what I spoke about in October. Choices that had been taken away from me and my child by forcing her to be in distance learning. When the private school down the street mobilized and jumped through hoops to get their schools fully opened for a full day of instruction, this district sat on their hands and claimed their hands were tied, rather than making the difficult choices. This has led me to make the choice to apply for a private school next year. I love the teachers and I love the schools here. I grew up here, and I would hate for my kid to not continue in the public school system here. And I've heard about all the hard work that went into getting to this point, and I appreciate it. But what are you doing to get us back in full time? You keep saying we're fully open, but we're not. It's still minimum day. It's still a disrupted life for my child, for my family.
What are you doing? What choices are you willing to make? The hard choices. The hoops that you're willing to jump through like the other schools. Choices. I'm asking you to make the hard choices so that I don't have to choose to put my kid in a private school. Please make the choices, the hard choices for us. You're the public servants that we elected to advocate for our kids. Do your job, please. Make the hard choices.
That's time.
Thank you, Mrs. Jarvie. Moving on to discussion action items. It is recommended that the Board of Education adopt Resolution Number 9, recognizing May 3rd through the 7th, 2021 as National Teacher Appreciation Week and May 4th, 2021 as National Day of the Teacher.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Mrs. Reuter and seconded by Dr. Fernando. All in favor? Aye. A motion carries. Yes. You know, I didn't read the whole resolution. Would you?
It's up to you.
It's just a great time to really celebrate our staff and all of the, and as many people have already said tonight, they have jumped through multiple hoops and quickly. I mean, it wasn't even last year before, you know, a week was gone by in March that they had to go to total distance learning by orders of the LA County Department of Public Health. And they've jumped and jumped and jumped many times. So
incredible.
We're very blessed in many, many ways. Mm-hmm. Number 2, recommendation that the Board of Education adopt Resolution Number 10, declaring the week of May 16th through the 22nd, 2021 as Classified School Employee Week. May I have a motion?
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Merkley and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Again, as Mrs. Reuter so eloquently mentioned about some of our classified staff, you can't run a school without help. And it's not just the teachers and it's not just the administrators. It is those classified people that really they're the glue almost that hold everything together. So they deserve that recognition. Number 3 here is recommendation that the Board of Education adopt Resolution Number 11, declaring May 10th through the 14th, 2021, School Health Services Appreciation Week, and May 12th, 2021, National School Nurse Day. May I have a resolution or a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Fernando and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Woo! That's why.
Why do we need our nurses then? Yes, and we'll continue to.
Absolutely. Again, the things that you never thought you had to do, you know, nurses have done well beyond their job description, I'm sure. Number 4. Approve the appointment of Melinda Delwicious as the representative to the Personnel Commission with a term beginning April 2021 and ending December 2023. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Merkley and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Again, another wonderful person that's going to step in after we've lost a very sad friend, actually, complications from COVID. So we're very blessed to have Mrs. Delwicious take this position. Number 6, Board Policy 3100, revision, first reading. I wonder if we need to go ahead and just approve this. Does anyone have any objections if we just...
I move that we waive second reading and approve the revision to Board Policy 3100.
Thank you, Mr. Ellenson. It has been moved by Mr. Ellenson and seconded that we waive the... Dr. Fernando. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, he did. That we go ahead and, since the first reading was very brief, we got it, and we really are excited about the 6%. What it means. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
That'll save some time.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I know several of us have been waiting for this for a while.
I think maybe a brief description of what it is from Mr. Weinstein
Yeah.
would be appropriate.
There
Mr.
you go.
Weinstein, would you please let the community know what it was we just approved?
So the state has minimum mandatory reserves that need to be kept for economic uncertainty. This is commonly 3% currently. However, over the years, this amount has changed, gone up and down, and also due to the Governor Brown's Rainy Day Act, certain triggers within our budget can also move this up and down. So with the board's feedback, asking for at least 6%, which represents double of the 3%, we felt was a minimum amount. What we did was we went into our board policy talking about capitalization reserves. We added a very simple line that just basically says that the goal of the district is to keep twice the amount of the minimum reserves required by the state. So if it's lowered to 2%, that's 4%. If it goes up to 5% because of economic uncertainty with the budgets, school cutbacks and those sorts of things, it would go up to 10%. Currently, it's at 3%, which is the current standard. So right now, the board policy would reflect a 6% minimum reserves, and this is unrestricted funds and unassigned funds. So this is in addition to the restricted funds that roll over every year and the assigned funds that's already put aside for future expenses. This is just for economic uncertainty, which means that if we go into recession and the state starts cutting us back, we have this money to make payroll, to keep our schools open, and to be economically sound throughout that time.
Mr. Weinstein, could you tell us how much payroll a 3% reserve would cover?
A 3% reserve would cover less than 2 months' payroll.
Yeah,
So it's really with 85% of your budget or expenses having to deal with payroll, which includes obviously not only the actual paycheck, but includes the compensation, that includes our benefits, putting away for CalPERS and CalSTRS, our payroll taxes, all those things that go into it. It actually encompasses about 84.6% of our total expenses every year. And this is the key expense. You know, we can't have school without our teachers and our staff teaching our students. So it's really important that during a time when there may be cash shortages or deferrals, and which we saw this year, that we have these reserves set aside so that we can continue operations in a proactive way moving forward.
Yes, thank you. It's like our insurance policy that we provide ourselves. Okay, moving on to consent items. The Board of Education may consider agenda consent items as a whole or as individual divisions. Any item may be removed by a member of the board for discussion. Is there anything the board would like pulled? No? Okay, may I have a motion to approve the consent items?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Mrs. Merkley and seconded to approve the consent items. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. One last motion, please. It's been a very informative meeting, and I'm sorry to say we're going to go home. But thank you for all the presentations tonight. So we need one more motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Mrs. Reuter and seconded. All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Not really.
We are adjourned at 8:55.
Okay. Thank you.